Okay, so today's agent development is about generating referrals and also building local awareness with social media. So we're going to start out with the video and hopefully this all works as planned.
My business primarily is built in such a short amount of time on referrals, and the way that I really get those referrals from clients is developing very strong relationships with them. I think that relationships are the key to most business. I approach every client that I meet and try to find some common ground. I look to see how we can relate, how do our lives relate, how are you and I interested in some of the same things? And I focus my relationship on those clients. So someone moving from the Northeast to South Carolina, well, I'm from New York. So let's talk about what some of the reasons that you want to leave New York, or you want to leave Ohio, or you want to leave Pennsylvania. I can relate to that cold weather. Let's talk about some of the fantastic things that Myrtle Beach has to offer and some of the ways that your life can change here. And I kind of go above and beyond the call of duty. I'll send you, tidbits of information when I find leads about jobs. I'll talk with you about ways that you can make your move less tedious for you. Here are some great movers in the area. Here's somebody who can put up a fence for you. Prior to them even committing to move down, and I've given them that information for free. So I've given them things up front to kind of build that strong, trusting relationship. And then I get a lot of referral business from those clients. Far surpasses closing. After closing occurs, I keep in touch with those clients on a regular basis. I send them birthday cards. I send them Christmas cards. I call them to say, hey, how are you? Would you like to get together for lunch? And I make it my number one priority to make sure that I'm getting out there and I'm networking with my previous clients. I carry that networking principle through to the rest of the business world as well. I make sure that I'm eating lunch at least 3 times a week with somebody different. So I'm meeting with attorneys, or I'm meeting with other business owners in the area, or I'm meeting with B&I contacts, or I'm meeting, with lots of different people and just learning about them. And my objective isn't to get them as a client right then and there. My objective is for them to get to know me and to trust me and to like me, so that when they think real estate, they think about me, and I generate that referral business. It is a lot of work and it's a lot of fun. I mean, who doesn't want to go to lunch 3 times a week and try different foods? And keeping up with those people is definitely difficult, but it's so great to know that you have those personal relationships with other people, that you can call them and rely on them to do things for you. I mentioned BNI before, and if you know anything about Business Networking International, you have to attend a meeting once a week at 7:30 in the morning. Well, when I'm not there, like this week, I couldn't be there, I'll call an old client and I'll say, hey, would you like to go to a meeting for me for an hour and a half? And would you like to just talk about your experience with me? And I ask them to do that for me as a favor. And then in return, I do things as favors for them. And, I'll send them thank you notes and cards and candy and cookies, whatever. Just a way of keeping in touch and having that personal bond between myself and my clients. Well, I make sure that I have a good system for managing my leads, good contact management system. So currently I use Market Leader. It's something provided by my office, and I keep all of my contact information in that CRM, but I also back it up to Google Contacts. Anybody that I've done business with, closed business with, or has referred business to, I put into a send-out cards database, and I put in their purchase anniversary, their birthday, their marital anniversary, and I send them cards automatically. It's a way for me to keep in touch and to have kind of that personal experience with them without too much effort on my part. It manages itself. So that's one of the ways I'm able to make those personal touches. We all are motivated by our needs, right? We have a need to eat, we have a need to sleep, we have a need to care for our family. And when you're starting out your own business and we're starting in the real estate industry, it's definitely scary to think, where is my next paycheck coming from? But I think that fear is normal. And I think how you handle that fear and how you either let that fear control you or you make a decision, an active decision to allow that fear to motivate you. And so for me, I was absolutely 100% fearful that I wasn't going to make it. But I knew that there was no way I was going to make it unless I put effort forth every single day. I treated being a real estate agent like a 9-to-5 job. I got up every single day. I arrived at work before 9 a.m. I made my calls. I was impatient. I got hung up on a lot. And it was scary, but eventually it's a numbers game and I was able to get a few listings. And from those very few listings in the beginning, I was able to generate all of the business that I have had up until this point. I took one for sale by owner listing. It was my second listing ever. I cut my commission to take that listing because I had no experience. I was very nervous in the appointment. Since that time, I sold that gentleman's house and I've helped him to purchase another home and 2 investment properties. He's referred to me 5 additional clients, and I've been working with those clients to either help them find or to sell their homes. And all of this happened because we developed a relationship. He moved into the neighborhood I live in. He's 80 years old. We have very little in common in terms of age, but he and I are close friends, and he calls me and he sends me emailed jokes, and he and his wife have been to our house for dinner. So I've just established this rapport with these people that have now helped to drive my business. So yes, there's fear, but unless you act upon that fear and say, what am I going to do today with this fear to help drive me towards success? Then you're allowing that fear to just shut you down. I look at the fear as a way to raise me up. I'm 100% relationship focused. I'm not transaction focused. If you have good relationships with people, those transactions will follow. They will come to you. They will come and land in your lap. You don't have to put so much effort into focusing on getting the business as long as you're focusing on building those relationships and being honest and genuine in those relationships. I'm not doing something to get something for you. What can I give to you? That's it. It's a gift. What can I give to you? Eventually, the universe just has a way of bringing those transactions to you. The more people you know, the more you grow. Somebody always has something to offer you that you don't know, that you don't understand, that maybe you're not aware of, a mindset that maybe you're not thinking. So if you're always sitting with that growth mindset and that learning ability, then I think that can help you to be successful.
Okay. So what did you think?
I really like that. Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this.
We have talked about referrals a lot.
Right.
But felt like this one covered some different aspects of it.
Yeah, I think it goes a little more in depth and it shows how you can really build your business purely on the relationships that you're fostering, right? Like if you have strong enough relationships and people trust you and like you, they're always going to think about you when they think about real estate. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of the goal, right? Is that you want anybody who knows you, you want them to trust you. You want them to look to you. Whenever they're, dealing with a real estate transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that. And I like the part that she talked about letting her fear drive her. Her fear of failure is the thing that, pushed her to get uncomfortable and, pursue some of these like scarier transactions, I guess. But she went about it in a way that maybe she's more comfortable with, or I guess that would be for me. Like, I'm more comfortable with just building relationships. And so if you're like looking at these meetings with potential clients or meetings with anyone as just a relationship building opportunity, then I think that's
Mm-hmm.
a lot easier to digest, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or I like how she talked about giving, so maybe it's providing information or a market analysis and not necessarily expecting anything in return, that it'll all come back around most likely anyways. Yeah.
And I never want to be seen as like a greedy or pushy, salesperson or whatever. And I think, there are some agents out there that maybe have that reputation or give off that feeling. And I would never want to get a transaction that way, by being greedy or whatever. So I think I think her perspective on that was good too.
Yeah, I liked that. I feel like Remax had good questions, and then she provided specific answers to those questions, and that it kind of shows more of the whole how to do things for people that maybe don't know how to go about it, right? So hopefully you were able to pick up a few tips too.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because I initially watched these before reading No Excuses by Brian Tracy.
Yeah.
And then and kind of had this all prepared a while ago, but then rewatching it just now, I was like, oh my gosh, it's funny how that whole topic of fear comes up again, right?
Yeah.
Because he talked about fear and how that can drive us and how we have to overcome it.
Yep.
And all that. And so it was really interesting to see that was in one of the Remax videos. So just a couple other points that Remax has in here. Are that how often a person is contacted and interacted with has a direct relationship to whether they think of you when they have a need or hear of a friend with a need, right? And so that's why it's so important to be out there on social media, be doing at least a monthly e-newsletter or some form of email communication with them, and then also staying in touch with mail too. And that reminds me, did you get a chance to watch the Coach's Corner with Tom Ferry this morning?
No, because I was at the dentist.
Oh,
so I
okay.
had signed up for it. I was hoping they would do a recording, but I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I don't know if they will, but at least you registered. So if they do get one or have one, you get it. But it was interesting because he had, wasn't necessarily planning on going in this direction, but we may as well since you didn't watch it.
Yeah.
He had 7 points on how to future-proof your business. And, maybe since you didn't watch it, I had been thinking about going over his stuff next month for agent development, but it ties into like today in that 3 of his 7 points were e-newsletters, direct mail, and making calls. And it was interesting because I think I've told you I've known about Tom Ferry for a long time. I attended an in-person event. I think it was in 2011, so it was in the middle of the recession. And he's always, the one thing I do like about him is that he's very action-oriented, has specific action that you can take that should have an effect on your business. And of course, he says too that he's always been big about how you shouldn't have just one thing that you focus on. It's good to, okay, maybe you want to focus on referrals, but you should still be doing other things. But I just was actually surprised that in today's day, he is still talking about some of the same things, email, direct mail, and making phone calls. And I specifically made notes of that because I'm like, okay, that is something that has not changed the whole time I've been in the business now for 20 years. And it's totally is applicable to generating referrals. And then, as you know, I've said before, and I tell her, I know that it's the way that I'm working by referral now. And it's not like it really takes much time or money either. It's really very easy, but just so many people just don't bother to do it. And so it really should be a priority. And I think I've mentioned that, you know, if I didn't have it on my calendar, it wouldn't get done either. So even though I know I need to do it every month, I have to put it on my calendar, and that helps get it done. So just got to schedule time for it.
Yep.
There's notes in here about, you know, obviously taking every opportunity you can to thank people. So usually to be super timely with a thank you, you know, I might send a text or an email, but then I always follow up with a personal note card in the mail with a couple of my business cards and a gift card or something like that. So just maybe having a plan for what you're going to do. So then when the opportunity arises, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, I would even have just some gift cards ready to go. So then I didn't have to go to the store and get them.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about Amazon gift cards. I feel like you can give those to people. They can always add that credit to their account and use it for something, you know, and they buy anything they need.
Yep.
I know that I gave one once, and the wife, I was talking to them on the phone afterwards, and the wife was like, oh yeah, what did we ever do with that card? And he's like, oh, we bought pet food.
Very practical.
Pet food with my Amazon gift card, but okay, whatever.
Yep.
And he was,
You can buy anything.
so, you know, you never know, but they do remember what the thank you gift card got them.
Yep.
So whatever. I guess anything else about generating referrals before we move on to?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll try the next one, and I'll try to turn off the
Subtitles.
captions. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that. I actually spoke to product support about it. Apparently that occurs by default. And
it was into like Arabic or something like that.
That's the default. And I asked product support, I'm like, well, could it just be by default not to have them? Or
make a lot more sense.
No, that's just the way it is. I'm like, thinking, no, that needs to change. I really hope that.
That's so funny.
To me, that doesn't make any sense.
No. Weird.
Okay, it doesn't look like this one's gonna happen, so we'll see.
Fort Langley is the birthplace of British Columbia, so it has a long history, and now it's become a bit of a tourist destination.
It still feels like a small town atmosphere.
You run down to get a coffee, there's always someone you'll know, and you're happy to see them, and people know you by name, and that's pretty special in today's world.
It's the people in it. It's the steadfast of this community, and that's what brings people here. It's the people.
We have an idea for the town square. And the first thing we thought about is, well, where could this town square exist? And it was 2011, Facebook.
Every year down at the RE/MAX Little Oak office in Fort Langley, we get a dunk tank and then we sell off those balls for a donation for a local cause. And this year we did something a little bit different. We put a video out on Facebook asking everyone to vote whether they'd like to see Jordan, Trish, or myself in the dunk tank. So here's the video, and look at Michael. Oh, Trish got a vote. Michael. I have no idea what I've done to deserve this.
I kind of got a sense of who he was just by the kind of content that he was sharing.
Hi, my name is Lonnie. Today we count down the best go-to spots to take out-of-town guests, the best volunteer or neighbor, the best coffee shops in North Langley.
I had no idea what he did professionally.
You're probably wondering what a softball, a can of olives, a tiny little pumpkin, and a tattered old wallet have in common.
I've never felt that the My North Langley is an advertisement for Michael and what he does for a living.
There's a purpose, right? It's about creating something that people want to share with each other and be with each other and make it better.
They love to highlight and support what's going on. It's nice to be in the know, what people are up to, and you can get involved and be part of the community.
Why Michael does My North Langley can be perceived in a number of different ways. I think people can go, oh, he's just doing it because of it being connected to his realty business. But because I know Michael, and I know that he's been in the neighborhood forever, and he actually genuinely puts his money where his mouth is and cares for the people in this neighborhood, that for me squashes that perception that it's just about business.
For the past 3 years, we've sponsored families through the Langley Christmas Bureau until there's no more families left to be sponsored. And with your support, we want to do it again this year.
He tells the whole community what's going on. He's able to communicate someone that's new to the community or doesn't understand the community. They have all these options and all these great things that they didn't even know about.
We want to celebrate why someone should live here. And then we want people who already live here to celebrate the community in between the homes that they buy and sell.
We're engaged in social media, but social media isn't what's necessarily selling people on, hey, we need to work with that team. It's not until we actually make that personal connection with those people that, they become necessarily part of the family.
I know our generation, we can't afford the big houses anymore. So a lot of us are moving into the townhouses or the condos, but it's not necessarily about the space itself, it's about our surrounding community. That's huge.
I think people are searching for information. They're searching for answers. I know I certainly do. When I'm trying to learn something, I'll type it into YouTube or into Google, how to do this, but they're typing in, what's it like to live in community? What are the schools like in enter your community name? That's what people are looking for.
We want to know that there's coffee places like this where we can get out. We don't want just a Starbucks and a Tim Hortons. We're looking for the real mom and pop kind of experiences, the boutiques, so we don't have to drive downtown.
What Michael does with My North Langley and with promoting and interviewing people who are involved in the community really helps to show other people what we have here.
There has to be a way that they can feel that they're connected to the community, and sometimes we're that conduit.
He's like a welcome wagon in a sense, but on a social media perspective.
I think that they love being part of this community and they're at home here, so why wouldn't they kind of extend that love and support?
There's social equity there, there's trust there that can't be purchased from having a great website or a bus bench ad. But this isn't writing a check. This takes time. This is a long-term game plan. This is a long-term execution.
It's not what's going to necessarily bring you 10 new clients next year. It's that based on everything that you're doing personally that will bring you that business.
It's about planting seeds, and if you do it right, something will come from it.
It's amazing walking down the streets of my community how often people want to stop and have a conversation. To be stopped in a coffee shop, to have that ability now that you are face-to-face, that is so rewarding.
I have a list of people that have called me and said, I want to move here. Who can I contact? And I'm like, well, they're just up half a block.
Okay, so what did you think of that one?
That was good too. I feel like there's some overlap between the two videos because I think of social media as a tool to build relationships without having to be face to face with people, right? And so I feel like what he is doing with his community page is reaching people that he may not know and may not know him, but he's able to connect with them over, the best coffee shops or the best shops in town or whatever. And it's kind of twofold because then he's also bettering his relationships with the owner of that coffee shop or the people who work at the stores and stuff like that. So I don't know, I think if used correctly, social media can be a really good tool for building relationships a lot faster than maybe you could if it was just, having lunches with people and all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's a way for them to get to know you without being in person and also without you having to sell yourself or anything too. They're just getting to know you as you.
Yep. And it's a way to show the value that you bring, beyond just the real estate transaction, that it shows that you're, connected with the community and that they can come to you if they have questions about the schools or the parks or the, shops and all of that stuff. Like they can see you as a resource for all sorts of things, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when I had seen this one to preview it and figure out if I wanted to use it, I specifically thought of you in Normandy Park.
Yeah.
And how this could work really well for you.
Yeah.
I mean, though our office isn't right there in Normandy Park, so people aren't going to say, oh, it's right over there or whatever. Still, especially in real estate, I've seen it totally change. The office address doesn't really mean much anymore. It's all about you and who you know and the relationships you have.
Yep.
So you could still do this in Normandy Park.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because I'm, just like, I feel like I'm very connected in Normandy Park and that it's, I've been here my whole life. So I know a lot about it. I know about the schools and the pools and, all of that. And even like we had a neighbor, somebody just bought a house down the street from us. And I was talking to him and he didn't know, like he lived in, White Center, so not far from here. And he hardly knew anything about Normandy Park, but I was like, oh yeah, like, gave him the rundown of what I know. And like, I could for sure use that on social media or on like a community page on my website, which I have a community page, but it just has a little bit of information. But I was thinking there's a lot more that I could add to that.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because, and then you could link back to that, at least on Facebook anyways. And the more visits you get to your website, it doesn't matter what page they're visiting, but it can be your community page. That will in general increase your searchability and people will be able to find you better than when they're searching for real estate because Google is going to be tracking that there's people visiting your website.
Yep, for sure.
So, yeah, it would totally help.
Yeah.
And then one thing, if you could do, and they talked about this, would be to, of course, I don't know Normandy Park that well, but I'm assuming there's some events and things, right?
Yeah.
So that, because the other key to community type pages and things is that you've got to be refreshing the content and keeping it fresh. So an events type page where it's going to force you to have to keep it up to date, but that would be good.
Yeah.
For both your website traffic and then people, just keeping them informed.
Totally. Yeah.
And then, we've talked about video before, but I'll mention again, since Tom Ferry definitely brought it up today.
Yes.
He was saying that, what was his? Oh, that 81% of consumers prefer to watch a video to learn something before they decide. And so and I was like, kind of like, okay, whatever. But then when he brought up the fact that, in the past, over 10 years ago, client reviews and client testimonials were just kind of beginning, right? And each year that goes by, we hear about how more and more important they are and how nowadays it's like, yeah, if you don't have any, then people are probably going to be able to know that you're new, right?
Mhm.
Well, he's saying that if we don't have at least one video on our website of ourselves, introducing ourselves, that we're going to be gone. Like that's similar to client testimonials and we need to do it. And I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really want to hear it, but I think that there is some truth to it. And then his stat of 81%, he's like, you know, do you want to be stuck with just the remaining 19%, or do you want to be working with the majority, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of made me think, okay, I need to get off my butt and do a video.
Yeah.
And I think that a way to maybe start out for you would be to maybe do a video where you're talking about Normandy Park, right? So then you're not just talking about yourself and everything, but again, people would get to know you through that video.
Yeah, totally.
So those are my thoughts. Anything else about social media or using the community to your advantage?
I don't think so. I think it's all good. I think it's maybe underused in our business. I don't know. I know that, you know, there are certain people who really utilize social media as real estate agents and they utilize it effectively, but I think the average agent underutilizes it, myself included. But it's, you know, I think it's a really quick and easy way, relatively easy way to reach a lot of people that you wouldn't normally get to. So,
which is what is one of the keys to success in the real estate industry is it is about the people that we know, and the more people we know, probably the more opportunities we're going to have. And, you know, it's a bit of a contact sport. It's about getting out and in front of people and stuff. So yeah, it can really help.
Totally.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.